Hey guys, what's up? It's munclesonkey and welcome to a new series. In this series, we will be going over two different monsters, one commonly known, one perhaps less commonly known, or maybe at least not commonly known how good of money they are. Or it doesn't even have to be monsters, perhaps some money-making methods that do not involve combat, and seeing which one is better, and I'll weigh the pros and cons, and also the XP and charms per hour, stuff like that, and I'll give you guys a suggestion, maybe an alternative for a really common money-making method. So for example, if you do Frost Dragons and you're not really sure how else to make money, I will show you an alternative monster that maybe earns just as much profit per hour and is a little bit different to change up your money-making methods. So for the first episode, I did pick my own monsters. We're going to be pitting the Rarius against the Gladius, but for future episodes, it will be based off of your guys' comments, so make sure to suggest either monsters or just regular old money-making methods in the comment section of this video. But we will be getting into this, and for the most part, this will be based around mid-tier monsters. There will be no PVM, because PVM is a very difficult thing to judge the money per hour because it's based off of rare drops. However, most mid-tier monsters are more of an average money making per hour, and it's not really based on luck all that much in how much you make. So first things first, this is the setup that I used for both of the monsters, and the first thing you might notice is I am using chaotic crossbows, not ascension crossbows. That is because these are mid-tier creatures, and for the most part there should be mid-tier players killing these and not really high-level players, which is why I chose not to wear the ascension crossbows. Also, ascension bolts do the same damage as royal bolts when wielded with ascension crossbows. I just didn't want to mess up my QBD drop tab, that's why I'm wearing those. Also, the blood necklace shard that I'm equipped, that thing is amazing. I'm starting to fall in love with it. I'm just using it everywhere now. It's so good, and with that blood necklace shard equipped with 99 defense and armadillo armor, you do not even need food whatsoever. It's crazy. Also, I do have a Slayer helm equipped because I don't have an armadillo helm, but I was not on task for either of these hours spent at the Rarius and Gladius, and the rest is just armadillo armor. Not sure if Ring of Wealth affects the drop rate of the keystones, but it seemed like it helped because I got a fair amount of keystones, and also in my inventory I have an extreme ranging potion. I did bring prayer pots to soul split, but again, with that blood necklace shard, you don't even need soul split here. It's crazy, as well as a charming imp, and that about does it for the setup. So the first out of these two monsters, and by far the much more camped one and the much more commonly known one, and the main reason for that is because they are kind of AFK. Not really, because there's so many people there, you just kind of get crashed if you try to AFK, but if you are lucky enough to find an empty world, you can AFK for a little bit. And this is the Rarius. The requirements are 81 Slayer. I would really recommend 80 range. It's not that fun killing them with a weapon below 80 range, but you can certainly try it if you haven't gotten your Royal Crossbow yet. And it's about 280k XP per hour. That is range as well as HP, and that is with tier 80 weapons without Slayer Helm bonus. If you have either of those two things upgraded, like if you have Ascension Crossbows or if you are on task, it's going to be a little bit more XP per hour than that, obviously. And the monster that the Rorarii are going to be going up against is the Gladius, and this is also in the exact same dungeon. These also require 81 Slayer. I would also recommend 80 range. So far the requirements are looking very, very similar, and it's going to be that way for this episode at least. And also you might notice the combat XP is significantly worse. No, these are not very good combat XP. However, I do feel like they make up for it with their charm drops, because these guys drop a load of crimson charms, and the Rarius really only drop gold charms and not a whole lot else. So if you're into charms, Gladius are awesome, but you are sacrificing a bit of combat XP to do these instead. But which one is the better money, because that's what this was really all about? We're about to find that out. So now we go into the actual killing of the monsters themselves, and I did both of these monsters for 1 hour each, and I feel like this gives a pretty good representation of exactly how much you can expect to make from killing the Rarius as well as the Gladius. And yes, there is the small possibility that you could get really, really unlucky or really, really lucky from these monsters and make way more or way less. However, in the long run, it is going to balance out, and the loot that I got from both of these monsters does give a fairly good representation of about what you can expect, because I did get fairly average luck on both of these monsters. However, you can kill so many of them per hour because they're a very, very low level and have really hardly any defense or HP, and the keystones are so common that you're going to be getting keystones while killing the Rarius, and there's not really any way around that. You're going to be making around the same amount no matter how much you kill them. Of course, you are going to have your lucky streaks and your dry streaks, but for the most part, the keys do happen. So unfortunately with the Rarius, unlike the Gladius, they're really only good for the keystones, because you're not going to be making very much money off their regular drops. I did pick up all of the gold ore and the coal and the runite limbs. However, it's really all about the keystones with these monsters because their other drops aren't so great. I wouldn't even recommend picking up the Ascension Shards, even though they're 600 GP each, because they only drop one at a time. However, with the other Ascension creatures, it's probably worth picking them up because they drop multiple Ascension Shards. But overall, I got a ton of keys. I believe I got 7 for the entire hour. Like I said, the keys are not that rare, and you just kill the Gladius so fast that you can really expect around that many per hour as long as you do have these tier 80 weapons and you're killing them fast enough. And also, I am using the Christmas loot beam, before anyone asks. That's what that is. That's the reason why it says a festive beam shines over your items and it's not a golden beam. It's from the Christmas event, so that's why that is a thing. But anyway, I finish up my hour there with 7 keystones. Not bad. And now we go into the Gladius, which a lot of people might not like that much, and the main reason for that is because, hey, they're good Crimson Charms, but along with the bad combat XP is they do admittedly stun you quite often, and some people just frankly aren't down for that. So if this is something that really bothers you, you might want to avoid the Gladius. However, I feel like it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me too much. And nice effigy there. Effigies are really rare from Slayer. The last time I got an effigy from a Slayer creature, and these are Slayer creatures because you can get assigned them as a task and kill them on task, of course, as we went over a little bit earlier. And I think it's been at least 5-6 mil Slayer XP since my last effigy. It's been a while. So I started off with 2 Serenic Scales really early. The Serenic Scales are not that rare from the Ascension creatures, and I did get one from the Gladius as well. And you will get them fairly often, especially with the Rarius. They are a higher combat level, so I imagine that the Serenic Scales are a little bit more common from these guys than from the lower level Rorarii. But I did get some keystones as well. Of course, you're going to get less keystones killing the Gladius than the Rarius just because it takes longer to kill the Gladius. They do have the same drop rate of keystones, but just since they take longer, of course, you're going to get them much less commonly. But on top of the keystones, as you can see from my inventory, you get a ton of alchable stuff, and also I pick up all the Ascension Shards because they drop, I believe, between 2 to 7 Ascension Shards per kill. So it's definitely worth picking them up considering that they're like 600, 650 GP each and stackable. So definitely worth taking those. And then all of the alchable drops that you get as well just really add up over a while, and you can get at least over a mil per hour just from the rune and adamant items alone. And of course, if you don't have a yak or if you don't have a spring cleaner, you can bring alching runes to alch them, and that's definitely one thing that you could do. So here I misclicked on a Rarius and I got a Sextus Keystone. A little bit crazy, and I'm not sure if I should count that. I mean, they both are Ascension creatures and they both do have the same drop rate, so I kind of feel like that counts, but technically it was not from a Gladius. And here, this was the very last kill of my hour. No joke. It was like 1 hour and 2 seconds at the time where I got this kill since I started the timer. And I get a Rarius on the very last kill of the trip. So a little bit lucky there, perhaps, but I got lucky with the misclicked Rorarii that gave me a keystone as well. So 2 of my keystones were obtained in a very strange way. But that was a 1 hour Gladius. Really cool that I got that effigy as well. So now it's time to price check all of our loots, and first we're going to go over the Rarius because they're the first monster I did, and I got a lot of Runite limbs, but otherwise the drops are not worth so much. Like 356k, that's not too bad in Runite limbs, but as you can see, the charms are awful. Unless you're into gold charms, 250 gold charms an hour isn't bad, but I don't think a whole lot of people are into gold charms unless you are for some reason. But other than that, the total price check comes out to about 3.1 mil. And also, you really don't use that many supplies. I mean, maybe a few bolts. You lose some charges on your crossbows. But other than that, it's fairly supply free. I guess the blood necklace charges as well, but that thing's really cheap to recharge. So pretty good money from such an easy monster to kill and easy monster to camp. And now it's time to go into the Gladius price check, and as you can see from my inventory, that is a lot of rune items, a few rare drop table items as well with the U-logs and the molten glass, but they are a higher combat level, so I imagine they have a slightly better chance to hit that rare drop table, and this is why you want to pick up the shards, 800k worth in shards, and it all price checks out to 4.1 mil, which is really good. And even if you don't want to count that Sextus key, because technically it wasn't from a Gladius, I would count it, but if you don't want to count that one, that's fine. It's still 3.8 mil profit, so Gladius win either way. And even though they are more annoying to kill, even though you can't AFK them as easily, although Rorarii are so crowded you can't really AFK them anyway, the Gladius are better money, it looks like, and also you get a whole ton of Crimson Charms as well. So hopefully this will help influence your decision on which one you want to kill if you're just strictly looking for money. So that's about going to do it for the pilot episode of this money-making versus series. Make sure to leave down in the comments first of all, your feedback, what you thought, and what you think could be improved, and I'll definitely take that into account, as well as what you would like to see in the next episode, and I'll probably get that out in about a week from now or so. And additionally, I just want to let you guys know I am working on another episode of Condemned to PVM. I know they have been not coming out that often, and I do apologize for that, but it does take a lot of PVMing in order to get a decent amount of clips to upload a video, but one of them will be coming soon. I'm almost done with it. Anyway, that's about all for me today. I will see you guys tomorrow or perhaps the next day with the next video, and farewell.